this back up. Duh. Ugh. You can't see my unicorn horn. Okay. Okay, I didn't even open my chocolates yet. Hi. Give me 1 second. Trying to do that before I went live, but then I didn't have time. Hi. Yep, I have a unicorn horn. Okay. Mute. All right. Live chat. All right. Hi, Pat. Hi, Katie. Welcome. Hi, Sonia, Steven. Tar Apple, on your way home, so you can only listen for now. That's okay. Hi, Jewel. Hi, Zombrea. Hi, Danny. Thomas. It's funny now. I'm all I'm hearing in my head is Danny Thomas. Hi, Donna. Hi, Steph. Amber. I hear you through my car speakers. Oh, that's good. Hi, Miriam. Get a little live before you go to dinner. Yay. Okay. Sit in the corner and that'll be the unicorner. Ah! So, hi, MA. Hi, Shadow. Sean is here and says hi. We're all doing dishes. Aw, how sweet. Linda found us. Yay. Hi, Linda. I knew you'd be okay. Hi, Andrea. Owls. Perch. Hi. So this is one of my Valentine's Day presents. Isn't it cute? And I got, thank goodness, because it's really cold in my house. It's really cold everywhere. It's like, it was -8 wind chill this morning, and it's going to just keep getting worse. But look, I got unicorn slippers too. Yay, unicorn slippers. So my feet are warm. Okay. I'm going to open up my chocolates too, because I got chocolates. And look at, I got flowers. So happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Whether you have someone or you don't have someone special, you should celebrate yourself and loving who you are and self-love. I feel really bad. See, now they don't say what they are. Oh, yes, they do. Because I'm so bad with this kind of stuff. Mary St. Gandalf's Day. Yay. That my husband is really, really good with everything, which I love him. I'm so glad he is. But I'm so bad with all of that stuff that I never think ahead. So I never have money. By the time Valentine's Day comes, I'm like, oh, yeah, so we'll celebrate when I get paid next, right? And he's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, and then I come home to all this. All right, which one is caramel? I need caramel. Yay. Should have bought myself chocolate-covered strawberries, right? I would have bought myself something. Thank you, Kay. Hi. Dozen roses and truffles. Okay. So bad. I hate that mukbang stuff, so. All right, I just wanted one. All right. I hope you all are excited about this class. Happy curse the next day for me. I hope you're as excited about this class as I am. Even in the name mukbang, I know, right? Isn't it horrible? I hate that. To me, this class has kind of renewed my beginner witch kind of feeling. It's falling. I have to readjust it. I'm so glad. I'm so excited too. And I'm so sorry I couldn't come on Wednesday. I was just like half dead. I spent 2 days in bed, Wednesday and Thursday in bed. And I still am not great, but I'm much better. So that's good. But I hate not going on. I hate that. It really drives me crazy. But I have to realize that I can't do everything all the time. So it's okay. Do your teeth hurt still? No, thank goodness. Really, I could tell. I knew it was just because of my sinuses were just, when everything is all full and it just pushes everything in your face out. I felt like my face was this big and my teeth, all of them, not just one or two or anything. It wasn't like a dentist thing. Like my teeth just were sore because everything was just swollen. Stop apologizing. I know. But especially when we have this class and it's, an exciting class and I'm really excited about it. And then I end up in bed and it just stinks. It's the universe's way of getting you to do self-care. I know that's true. I should know better. But I don't. I'm not great at self-care either. I try. But I'm just as bad as everyone else is. So I will tell you that I don't have as much prior planning as I normally would for tonight's video, because I was sick. Where is the end? So, bear with me if I do some paper shuffling and some wait. That wasn't what I wanted to say. Because I got several different sources and that kind of thing pulled out. Not as many as I normally would. So I'll tell you guys, when I do a video of like a class kind of video, I do a lot of preparation. I do a lot of studying ahead of time. And it's not that I don't know the information. It's that I have to kind of put an outline together to get stuff straight in my head because I am ADD. And because in order to keep myself as on track and coherent as I can, I have to kind of have stuff in front of me to keep me on track. You guys don't call me Mama Squirrel for nothing. And so I try to have a couple different sources together so that I know, if anybody has questions where I can squirrel brain. Exactly. So this one is not as done as I normally would like it to be at this time. So bear with me. We'll get through it together. It's an exciting thing though. So what I wanted to do is when I took the, do I have it? When I took a look at the notes for the initiation, which are at the bottom of this one. Hold on. And we talked about what is self-dedication. And we go with the flow. Exactly. Perfect. We talked about what is self-dedication, what is initiation, what are the basic principles that we can kind of all pretty much agree on. And I wanted to dive a little bit more into what we can agree on, since it's going to be hard to teach the parts that we're not all going to agree on. Not hard. That's the wrong word. It's going to be, I don't want to confuse everyone. I think I wrote the last answer wrong. It's okay. There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. But it's going to have to be more in depth. So to start out with, I wanted to start out with some of the stuff that we can all pretty much agree on. If you're on this path, you're on a nature-based path, what I would call pagan. You may not like that label, and that's okay. You don't have to call yourself pagan. You don't have to call yourself witch. Don't forget, we kind of went over that a little bit in the introduction part, right? You don't have to call yourself anything that you don't want to. But we're going to kind of have an idea of some stuff that we can all agree on and that we all can say, yeah, I pretty much can go with that flow, and to feel like I agree with the concept there. So the first thing to me that it makes it, again, all right, you guys, bear with me with this room. This room became kind of the catch-all. So this has some of my stuff in here, some of their stuff in here. But anyways, back there is my Wheel of the Year that I would like to have behind, but it's not going to happen here. So I have printed one out so that we could refer to it over and over as we go tonight. Hello, everyone who's come in. Little B and Donna, hi. And Leanne came in. Hi, honey. Johnny Dragon, I don't know if I said hello to you before. Hello, hello. Punchy Pants. Oh, Punchy Paints. Punchy Pants. Totally understand. I've been there. So solidarity. Yeah, I know it. Exactly. And with all the people that we have living here now, my whole house is like that. It's just horrible. Hi, Sherry Bug. I'm so glad you're on. After last time, I was worried that you were worried about it, and I was going to talk to you about it, and then I got sick. And so I'm glad that you're here. I appreciate you. Yes, the Wheel of the Year changed. Yes, that's right. Okay, so this is the basic Wheel of the Year. There isn't a whole lot of information on here, but there is some information. I will tell you that this is the Wheel of the Year for the Northern Hemisphere. I was going to print out the Southern Hemisphere, and instead I wrote notes on it because I realized I printed out the same one twice. Damn it. But what I can tell you is that in the Southern Hemisphere, all the dates are opposite. So in the Southern Hemisphere, if you take Samhain, which is November 1st, or technically October 31st at dusk, remember, to November 1st at dusk, and you go directly across, Samhain in the Southern Hemisphere is May 1st or April 30th. So 30, there's only 30 days, right? In April, 30 days past September, April, May. Yes. So April 30th at dusk until May 1st at dusk. And so I guess that's the first thing that we can really go over is when we are celebrating. All right, these are going to drive me crazy because they keep slipping backwards because I don't want them too far forward. That's okay. When we are celebrating a Sabbat, what's a Sabbat? That's our holidays. That's what we're talking about here. When we are celebrating our Sabbats, thank you, Pat. I swear I thought I printed both, and it must be I just double printed the one. We celebrate, meaning my coven, my practice, we celebrate, and a lot of pagans celebrate. It's okay, Anna, I just got started, honey. Starting at dusk the night before and going through dusk the day of the holiday. Not everyone does that. And again, if it works for you, it works. Especially in modern times, we all have jobs and we are busy people. And sometimes, especially like in coven work and that kind of thing, or even if no, they are not the same things. I'll tell you in a minute what they are. But so sometimes we're not going to be able to celebrate a Sabbat like we were going to. Like dusk the night before on, oh shoot, who has a calendar? Is May 1st on, it's a weird year actually. So May 1st this year may actually be on a weekend, but most of the time, Beltane is one of those holidays that I have to take off of work in order to celebrate Beltane like that. And how it affects us. That's a good, May 1st is a Saturday, of course. Damn it. Oh, it's Friday. So all right, so it's a Friday. So I must have taken off May 1st alone. But that's me. Not everyone can do that. And I will tell you that most of the holidays, I don't take off like that, except for Samhain and Beltane. I always make sure I have off both of those days. And stuff like Litha, sometimes Litha, I don't have off that day. And so sometimes it's hard to celebrate at dusk that night. Sometimes I can't celebrate until that Saturday, or I celebrate the Saturday before, or what, and that's okay. It is a season. It's the kickoff of a season of life, a season in your life, a season in the wheel of the year. Okay? When you take off, do you celebrate alone or with others? Well, that's a good question, Sonia. I will tell you that most of the time I celebrate with others because my family practices with me. Well, some of my family practice with me a lot. So sometimes I have other people. Sometimes it's just me. A lot of times now, it's funny, my life has changed so much with the channel. A lot of times now I celebrate with you all. Although I will tell you, usually if I do a live ritual kind of thing, I do something on my own, a meditation or something to kind of get me into the presence of the thing on my own. Is it stopping a lot again? I have to tell my son, Frank, get the hell off. So I celebrate all different ways. I celebrate sometimes with my family, if my family's home. I love when my son Frankie is home and my oldest, my youngest, oh good, are home because I'm able to celebrate with both of them, which is really nice. A lot of times since I started the channel, though, I'm celebrating with you guys. So I haven't celebrated a whole lot alone other than meditation kind of stuff, which is good enough. Sometimes that's all you can have time for. And I was going to say that too. Please understand that when we talk about celebrating the Sabbats, and I'm sure it comes up again. I know I have it in here someplace. But it also means that you do what you can. You want to, when you're celebrating the Wheel of the Year, you want to take some time to acknowledge that the turning of the wheel has happened, and that you want to change your energy, or alert your guides and alert your energy that there's a new kind of energy coming in, and that's okay, and prepare for that. That could mean a 5-minute meditation. Sometimes we're really busy people. And guess what? Here's the other thing, and I want to make this really, really clear. Sometimes you forget a whole Sabbat, or you're so busy that you just don't have time to do it, and life just did not slow down enough for you to get it done. It's okay. Nothing's going to happen. Nobody's going to come down, and Thor isn't going to come down on a lightning bolt and kick your ass. It's okay. You know, the universe's energies will forgive us for being busy people. I've had that happen. I had a massive migraine on Imulk, see? And sometimes that happens. I would say when you realize that when you do have a minute, when you have a few minutes, do something for that holiday anyways, even if it's just play some Imulk music and take some deep breaths and kind of reflect on what Imulk means and what you want to bring into your life for Imulk. And that's okay. The Wheel of the Year turns whether we cheer it on or not. Exactly. Oh, wait, if we're talking about Chris Hemsworth Thor coming down, I'm going to forget all of them. Oops, I forgot again. Come on down. Mama, are you going to do the A to Z? Cannot remember the hashtag. Get to know you. Oh, you know, I haven't even, see, here we are again. I was sick and now I have been working on the initiation. Is it a really long one? I try to do as many of his as I can because I love Simon's hashtags. So yes, I will try. We just recited a prayer, left food out for Samhain. See? Perfect. And sometimes that's all you can do. And you have to forgive yourselves, guys. It's okay. That's all you can do. It's okay. 26 questions. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it this weekend. Okay. So, you may have noticed, and one of my admins said to me, I don't know if I read this wrong or if I just had a revelation. That I said, how did I say it? Now that I'm right here. I said, tonight's class, we begin with what we can agree on through most of our paths, the wheel of the year. What does it signify and how can we apply it to our everyday life? And he was like, the Sabbats? Are you saying you can apply the Sabbats and the wheel of the year to your everyday life? Yes! Absolutely. And so this is the exciting part to me. And you will hear me when I talk about the Sabbats, I always get excited. The wheel of the year to me is always it is the route of connection. It's like the path that we can walk on to get through to the other side. I know I always say it's the cycles. And it's the cycles. But here is, someone described it as, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm so bad with that. Here we go. Squirrel. Hold on. All right, let me back up. So the wheel of the year is a continuing cycle of life and death and rebirth. And we all know that. Do we know that? It is, the cycle starts with Samhain. Normally, that's Witch's New Year. That's Pagan New Year. And then it goes through Mabon, Lunasa, Litha, Beltane, Ostara, Imbolc, and Yule. So Yule is the end of our year. And I was just going to say something else, and now I lost it. Shit. Samhain. I don't know. Okay. And it signifies the wheel of the year, the different holidays that we celebrate. Oh, I know what I was going to say. The greater Sabbats and the lesser Sabbats. The lesser Sabbats are, I highlighted them in blue. Okay, and they are the equinoxes and the solstices. Do you consider the end of the witch's year? Do you consider the end of the witch's year or Samhain? Yule, the end of doesn't Yule come after Samhain? No. Well, yes. But Samhain is the witch's new year. Because it is that we celebrate the death. And as we celebrate the death, all things become new. Once the death happens, all things become new again, right? Okay, so the lesser Sabbats are the solstices and the equinoxes. So it's Yule. Do you consider Yule the end of the, the end of the witch's year, or Samhain, the end of the witch's year in your path? I consider I know it seems weird, but it's such a long period of time. So Samhain, to me, I really celebrate Samhain as the coming of a new year, even though it's the death. It's the time when the spirit is closest to us and stuff. I celebrate that as the beginning of, we're looking forward. That's where we're looking forward to everything that's coming up. I do celebrate Yule as the end of our year. And there's a time in between that's almost like a time without time, you know, and we'll talk about that when we get to ritual and why we create a circle and what a circle is. And, you know, I was watching Hexen and Leolin's great video, by the way. I'm so glad they came on last night. Was it last night? Today. I still didn't get through it yet, but Hexen said, you know, I used to do a circle all the time, and how funny it was that he used to do a circle for everything. And absolutely. And I'm not saying that you have to do a circle all the time. I am saying there's something very unique about being able to create a circle and make it a time without time and make it a place without place. And it creates a space that is carved out outside of time and place that is very unique. There is nothing else like that. There's nothing else in any religion that I have studied. It's very sacred. There's nothing else like that. And to me, the time between Samhain, which is really when we're celebrating going into the cold, looking inwards, the death of the god, we're celebrating that. And Yule, which is then the beginning of everything, there's like a time without time that we're kind of reflecting on a lot of things. So before it begins again, we're celebrating everything that was and looking forward to what's new without actually like pulling yourself into that. You know what I mean? So that's how I see it. That is not how you have to see it. Again, if it works for you, it works. Okay. So the wheel of the year is continuing cycle of life and death and rebirth. Thus, the wheel reflects both the natural passage of life in the world around us, right? As well as revealing our own connection to the greater world. So what does that mean? And I'm going to go over what the wheel of the year myth is. Like a rest period before regrowth. Exactly. And that will become more clear. What I just said will become a little bit more clear. The cycle of life and death and rebirth. And to me, the reason that the wheel of the year is so exciting is because of that cycle of life and death and rebirth, and how, look at it, keeps making fuzzes, and I hate fuzzes. I'm going to try it. I might have to take my unicorn horn off. And how, I got distracted by my fuzz. I'm sorry. And how that reflects on our own life. And how we can then use that in our everyday life to propel our spirituality forward. Britain has a bonfire night, which used to be a fire festival performed at Samhain, but moved a week later and given a different reason for being performed. That is great. The greater world is the higher self or the divine in you. Yes. Okay. Yes. So, to a pagan or to a nature-based path, nature-based, all of creation is divine. All of it. All of the earth, every living thing is divine. Every stone is divine. Every water flow, every creek, everything is divine. Even a rock. Absolutely. A rock is very divine, as we know, because what can rocks turn into? Stones. It turns into gorgeous, pretty things. It turns into what you might call an ugly, gray, doesn't look very interesting rock. And what it really is million-year-old sediment that has fostered growth of different animals and micro animals, and is then built upon, and we build something on top of it as a foundation. And so, yes, everything is sacred for sure. Canyons, yes. Hi, Tammy. Yes, 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 for sure. It's the earth element for sure. So all of creation is divine, and by realizing how we are connected to the turning of the seasons and to the natural world, we come to a deeper understanding to the ways in which we are connected to the God and Goddess. So when we celebrate our seasonal rites, we draw the symbolism that we use from the natural world and from our lives, thus attempting to unite the essential identity that underlies all things. Now, that's a big sentence. And when I wrote it, I thought, I'm going to have to break this down a bit. Okay. Sorry, guys. Horn's got to come off for a little while. Thank you, Pat. I so appreciate it, because we are all God and Goddess as well. So let me back up, because first I want to, before I offend anyone, and I know that you guys aren't offended by me, I get it, but I want to make sure that you understand that I am talking to you specifically. And that doesn't mean that if you do not connect to a God or goddess, or God and Goddess, or Lord and Lady, or that doesn't mean I'm not talking to you, because that energy is still there. There is, as a nature-based religion, we can agree that there is an energy that is spiritual, that is a higher energy than what we are, right? That somehow figured out to connect us all together and created that, what I call word, W-Y-R-D, that word of connection, so that each of us is connected to each other person, each other thing. We all have that web of connection there. And we have to acknowledge that there is an energy that did that. There is that. There is some kind of energy. And what I'm doing is putting a name on that energy. And I'll be honest with you, when I first became a pagan, I was not a pagan that saw deity as a life form. And I still don't always, I don't know how to say this. I will be smart enough to say, I don't know for sure if there is a God and a goddess. If I don't know if I can say for sure that when I am calling out to Hecate, there is a being that is answering. What I do know is that I can put a face to a form of energy if I know the background of that face, and if I feel, Nishant, I don't really want, I appreciate, and I've seen you here before, but I don't really want any of the WhatsApp stuff on here, because that's, it's not the place for that, okay? I appreciate you, but. So, I'm sure I just confused most of you, right? If I am looking for an energy that says I need justice in my life, there's something going on that you humanize an energy, exactly. I'm looking for justice in my life. There's something going on that is so unfair that I just need justice as an energy to come down and help me out of this. It is easier for me to call out to Mayat, which is a goddess that I have connected with, and that I have called Mayat. I have studied her energy. She is the Egyptian goddess of justice, and not just justice on earth, but justice throughout all time, justice after death in the underworld. She's the justice from the underworld back to our little people justice. So I find it much, much easier to connect to that energy by saying, Mayat, I am asking for your help. I am putting an offering in front of a statue that reminds me that you, that energy, is the goddess of all justice. And if I can ask anyone to come in and help me, it is that energy. And I'm putting my justice energy out there, and that energy source then connects to it. And why does that happen? Because science tells us that the law of attraction is real, and that when we put energy out, the same energy wants to connect to it. And so now we're drawing in justice energy all over the place to build this justice energy to present to the universe and say, here, now I'm going to push it out to you and say, this is the need that I have. Thank you for helping me with that. Okay, does that make sense? I know it went a little bit off, but I wanted to make sure that when we have established a base point, energy goes where attention flows. It's exactly right. So we've established a base point. When I say God or goddess, that can mean just energy to you. That can mean a specific deity. That can mean a masculine sort of energy and a feminine sort of energy and all that comes with that. Or it can mean God and goddess. However you choose to follow that in your path, take that as what it means, okay? I appreciate you bringing it up, as some of us still struggle or not there with the G words, and that's okay. And please understand that that is so common, because most of us came from a different path. Most of us came from a different path that maybe was quite a patriarchy to start out with. It took me, and Hexen again, I heard Hexen and Leland talking about God and goddess energies. Hexen still does not really work with a God energy other than the counterpart to Yamaya, who I can never remember his name. Leland said it took her years, like 5-6 years, to work with a God energy. And that is very common, because when you come from a patriarchal religious upbringing, you've had that kind of shoved down your throat, right? You've had that pushed into your head that God is only a male figure. And so sometimes when you first come to this path, and sometimes people never want to connect to a male figure as a deity, and that's okay too. It took me many years to think of a deity as both male and female. I think probably less than some people, because I'll tell you guys, I am the ultimate Libra. If you want to know what my personality is, it is Libra. Libra. I like things in balance. I want everybody to get along. I will do whatever I can to make sure that there's a balance here. So it was a little bit easier for me to have that balance, and it didn't take quite as long. Still trying to figure out if all the things going on with me is about Hecate. That's okay. Think of them as energy personas. Exactly. Thank you. Perfect. It's taken a long time for me to unpack the patriarchal religious upbringing. Still have a lot of work, and it can be really difficult, and it absolutely can. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with taking your time and doing that. That's okay. So when we celebrate our seasonal rites, we draw upon the symbolism that we use from the natural world and from our own lives, thus attempting to unite the essential identity that underlies all things. And so what does that mean? That means we are using this Wheel of the Year as a springboard, as something to name the energies that go on. Everything in life, and the older I get, the more and more and more and more I see this in every single day life. Everything in life happens in cycles. Everything. And I know sometimes when you're in the midst of that, and you're in the midst of a death cycle where everything is falling down around you, it is so, so hard to realize that it's going to come back around, that it's okay. And as a matter of fact, it's going to come back around sooner than you think, because the next thing is rebirth. And so that is why, partly why, we celebrate the Wheel of the Year. That is why we acknowledge the seasonal changes, because as we are acknowledging these, we are announcing to the universe, and we are putting it, it's like, you know, sometimes for me, I know I say all the time, my guides want to just throw me off a cliff sometimes, because I know they're up there hitting me over the head with a concept that they're like, hello, I have talked to you about this before, Jen. What are you doing? And I'm like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. What? You talked to me about this before? That is very profound. Therefore, it will pass and good will come soon. Yes, 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 absolutely. And so what we are doing by celebrating is announcing to the universe, yes, we are celebrating this Sabbat. We are celebrating this season. We are celebrating again. The wheel turns again and something new is coming again. And celebrating that, we try to unite all the identities that are all over, that are in all of us. All of us have a central identity that is connected, right? Through the word, W-Y-R-D, through the web of connection called the word. And there's an identity that we all connect to. Bye, Susie. Okay. It cycles, but also spiralic. Yes. When we go through an experience again, we know it will end and restart, but we can't see how, because it doesn't happen exactly the same way, right? And I'll tell you, the older you get, and this just has to, and come on, old people, come out with me and tell people that it does become easier to recognize the older you get. That doesn't mean it's easy. I'm not saying, oh yes, every time I get into one of those death cycles, I totally know. You have a package on the table, honey. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome, honey. I'm not saying, oh yeah, I totally recognize it as soon as it happens. I'm like, oh, this is just a cycle. Nope, I don't. But it does become easier to think, okay, just hang on. Just keep stepping forward. We're going to get through this. Yep, it's a here we go again wheel. That's right. And just keep stepping forward. We're going to get through this. It's okay. Totally agree with you. It's easier, not smooth. For sure. For sure. Not smooth. Absolutely. I just told my son about you, how I used to watch you with curiosity and didn't know if I liked you, and then I began to like you. Well, Sonia, that's awesome. I love it. Totally agree. Totally agree. Good. Not old seasoned. Yes, yes, yes. Bye, Pamela. Thanks for coming, honey. All right. And here's the other thing that you realize with age. And I will say, again, this is not something that I don't think anyone can ever say that it's easy. It's not an easy thing. But it is something that you realize comes with the wheel. When you start to really feel like, holy shit, and you start to recognize. I love when you start to recognize the wheel and it's turning and you're like, oh, look, I know what's coming next. And then it happens. And then you recognize the next cycle, and then you recognize it again. You suddenly start to realize what's going on. And then something else happens. You start to think, okay, if I can't control something, I'm going to try to let it go. Now, not easy to let it go. You all right?
Yeah, my fucking feet hurt.
Your feet hurt.
You'll probably think that's cute, but PJ probably won't, but...
Oh, let me read it out loud. he's not here, right?
No.
Okay. Our love is a balancing act. We give and take, we fall and we catch each other. We are individuals and we are together. It's a Valentine's Day card for my son from my daughter-in-law, girlfriend-in-law thing. We are simple and we are complex. We can be silent and we can be loud. We may not always know the answers. We may not always make perfect decisions, but we always have each other. There's no one else I'd rather share my life with. That's right. Perfect.
It's adorable, right?
It's adorable.
It's perfect.
It is adorable. Let it go. Let it go. That's right. So, whoops, upside down. So one of the things that we realize is that what's the worst thing that can happen? And let's just say the worst thing that can happen happens. Now, how did that TV pop on? Is there a remote? Oh, I bet there's a remote in the couch.
It's probably
Joey.
me.
Yeah, that's just because you sat down because Joey was there.
I got it.
I
She
never know how to
technically
turn it
doesn't
on.
have it's the bottom button.
Ah, I know how to put that to sleep, but I don't know how to do that.
Chill, chunk, you're fine.
So what's the worst thing that can happen? Okay, so let's say it. The worst thing that can happen. The absolute worst thing. You die? Okay. Guess what happens after that? You get reborn. And guess what? If you die, your cycle for this time is done. So why do you care? And I'm not saying that it's that easy, that you suddenly go, I'm not afraid of that anymore. But I am saying that you start to go, what can I control? And what I can't control, why am I making all this fuss about it? And what am I trying to do when it's not something I can control? I gave that card to my fiance a couple months ago. Yay! Mama might warn about the TV. Thank you. Age helps you not to give a hoot about what people think of you. Yep. So begin to how to act like, yep, exactly. Like many midlifers come out of the broom closet. That's so true, Deb. Hi, honey. Yes. So, and again, I'm not saying that you suddenly go, I'm not afraid of death. I have no, but you do start to go, okay, you know what? There isn't, what else are you going to do? There isn't stuff you can do about it. Now, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but that also can create some problems when not everyone else around you is as enlightened as you are. Because sometimes I am able to let go of things and other people are not, and they're still back there. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? We had a fight 2 weeks ago? Oh yeah, but that was 2 weeks ago. And you really want to be back there? Okay, I guess. And I've moved on. That can cause problems sometimes, so just be aware. Just had a baby toy turn on by itself after you talked about death and rebirth. Woohoo! All right. Beowulf is currently thought to be this cycle in story form. Yes, I love Beowulf. It was just on the other night and I watched some of it. I never realized it, but I need to tell my friend. I need to share this. I need to use that. The worst thing is death, but what comes after? Yep, absolutely. Can't control it. Exactly. They get so upset because they think we're being flippant. Exactly. I know. And I'm like, look, I don't want to live back there. Back there is not right now. And why do I want to go back to that? Because that just is not, it's not easy to go backwards. You have to waste a whole lot more energy going backwards than you do just, okay, you know what? I forgive. Let's go forward. This is why I crave this, because you rarely find people who are like-minded. So true. Most of the time I forget fights. Yeah, I do that too, Vanessa. Wait, what were we fighting about? Shit, I can't remember. What do you do when the gossip is in writing? Ugh. Do something on purpose, like if somebody wrote stuff about you, burn it. Do something to let it go into the universe. Do something to, and in doing that, truly, now it's not going to work completely. That doesn't mean you could just go, okay, it's burnt now. It doesn't hurt anymore. face the hurt. You can look at the hurt and say, hey, this really hurt my feelings. Try to do that without anger, which is so not easy. But do something to physically watch that go up into the air. Well, I'm an air person. That's what I do. Or fire people do that too. Earth people, you can bury it. Water people, you can, it depends on what it's written on, but if it's something that will dissolve eventually, rip it up and put it into a river, that kind of thing. There's a very spiritual style version of Beowulf to be found on YouTube. It's a drawing animation. It's about 30. You're going to post that link for us, aren't you? You're in our Facebook group, right, Thomas? Are you in our Facebook group? I feel like you are. I think you are. Please post that in our Facebook group. If not, then put it in the comments down here for me, and I'll post it. That's one thing I struggle with letting go. It's taken me 5 years to move on from a troubled marriage. That's really tough, and I'm not going to say I'm perfect at it, believe me. Can't sit in this chair anymore. I'm going to the living room. That's okay. No problem, honey. That's why I don't want to go to that nice little Christian church. Send it up the river. That's right. If it's printed mass market, that's called slander. Yeah, I don't care. Hi, Shauna. If it's written by hand, that's a personal concern. Original handwriting that you can use in spell work. Yes. Burn, bury, send in running water. Lay at crossroads. Pray to send it away. Yep, for sure. I can't be a hypocrite. Okay. All right. So that was paragraph 1. How much time are we? 50 minutes. Damn it. Okay. Okay. Now, understand. Let me finish by talking about the greater Sabbats. Okay. So lesser Sabbats are lesser because they are the solstices and the equinoxes. They are not, it doesn't mean lesser because it, they don't mean as much or whatever. They are lesser Sabbats though, because there was not the amount of celebration when we talk about the path of the old ones, or I talk about the path of the old ways. The greater Sabbats have a pretty big history of the kind of celebrations that they had for those Sabbats. The lesser Sabbats, they marked the day, or they did some specific ritual, or they depend, like the Druids did a lot more with like the solstices and equinoxes. Depends on your history, what you're looking at. But sometimes, like if you look at Mabon is one of those holidays. It's the autumn equinox. That there isn't a whole lot written down from history that of what they did for Mabon. So there isn't like a base of history that we can take our spiritual practices. So what has happened in recent times, recent meaning from probably the 1900s on, is that they have taken the idea of what that Sabbat meant, and they have tried to come up with a practice that seems like it would celebrate that point of turning of the year. Okay. The greater Sabbats are the Sabbats that we know we have a lot more. I know you're right. That's a good suggestion, Pat. Are you okay with that? I hope. Thomas. Because I just made you one. The greater Sabbats are the ones that we have more of a historical background for the kind of huge celebrations that they were. So that is Samhain, Imbolc, Beltane, and Lunasa. We have a lot of history on what our ancestors and our ancestors' ancestors and our ancestors' ancestors, we can go back a long time and he always has great links to share. Absolutely. I know, Pat. And here I am going, could you post that someplace? I don't know how to do that. Thank you, Pat. We can take that history back quite a long ways, in other words. Sorry, guys. I hate to blow my nose on camera. That's so gross. I apologize. Okay. Now, the significance of the festivals has probably changed some Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it. Through the years, especially because we don't feel the Sabbats like our ancestors did, like the ones who first started walking the path of the old ways, like they felt it. And so you'll hear me when I go through the Sabbat talk before every Sabbat. I try to go through a talk. I think I probably missed a couple because, life happens. But you will hear me talk about what happened. Hello, pretty girl. What they stop saying sorry. What they felt. And so a lot of times we talk about like Yule. So Yule is the longest night. So when we talk about Yule, I always talk about the longest night. And you know what? It may not mean as much to us now today when we have electric lights that we can click on and we don't have to sit in the dark. And we're not worried. We have the technology and the science background now that we know the sun is going to rise again. But back in the day when they started celebrating the longest night, many of the traditions that came with the longest night came so because they were worried. They thought, what happens if the sun doesn't come up again? We have to coax it up. And so a lot of the times the stuff that they would do, the suns that they would make, the eye, what am I trying to say? The sun eye that you make, with yarn, that kind of stuff. They did that to try to coax the sun back, to encourage it to rise again because they weren't sure. We don't have to worry about that anymore. But it's really good for us to look back on what they felt, what our ancestors thought and felt, why it was such a big deal to them, this holiday, no matter which one it is, that this should be celebrated. And what are we celebrating that has a long tradition of that, so that we can feel that energy of the Sabbat. Okay? So we don't have to worry about, we have factory farming, we have fast freezing, worldwide distributions. Our lives don't depend on the harvest to be a great harvest, or else we won't last through the long winter. But that was a huge deal. We had to really concentrate on the harvest before. We have 3 harvest festivals in the year. There's only 8 Sabbats. We have 3 of them are harvest Sabbats. That's a big deal. Why is that? Because it was a huge deal. They had to have lots of ideas of how to harvest what needed to be harvested so that they made it through the long winter. So in order to feel that, in order to realize why that was going on and what kind of energy that's going to bring into our lives, we need to remember that. Hi, Nomad. And hi, anyone else? I'm sorry. Is modernizing traditions bad? Like, does it make it less, or is it equally profound as you celebrating with the tools you have these days? That's up to you. It depends on how you feel it. It depends on, I definitely have modernized things. All of my holidays, all of my Sabbats have some ways of modernization. As long as you recognize the tradition that it comes from, I would say absolutely you should be able to modernize the traditions, modernize how you do it. I have a feeling for every holiday. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I have learned that a lot of my feelings come from the wheel of the year. So it comes from the kind of energy that we're thinking about. Okay. We believe that we can reaffirm this contact. We believe that we can connect to that by observing the passage of the seasons in which we see reflected in our own lives. Have fun for Valentine's Day, honey. and the lives of our gods. Whether we choose to contact those forces through silent and solitary meditation, or experience the time of the year in a wild place, or gather with friends in a suburban living room, we are performing our own ritual to the old ones. However you choose to do that, reaching out once more towards the hidden forces which surround us all. Woo, paragraphs 3 and 4. This tradition of the Yule log, for sure, absolutely. There's a bit of stuff about straw dolls and crosses. Yes. Also, Morris dancing. Oh, I love Morris dancing. Yes, I love that. I have Morris bells that I wear on Beltane every year. So what is of the utmost of importance in the Wheel of the Year is that we understand what we hope to achieve through our festival celebrations and avoid the trap. Avoid the trap of going through empty motions. Don't do a ritual because on Beltane you're supposed to get the Mayday pole out and you're supposed to do the Mayday pole. If that doesn't really connect with you, if that doesn't bring in the energy that you want to bring in, that you feel connects you to that energy that was brought in, that was made for Beltane, don't do that. Don't make it kind of an empty, okay, now it's all when we do this and I have this ritual here. And do what is right for you. Do what brings in that energy that you're looking for in that time period. Repeating words from a book may sound dramatic, but they may not have any relevance in your everyday life. So if you ever see me going through, I talk about in several of the Sabbats, I talk about how I find a ritual. So I'm not going to lie, I bet you I have 30 books that have Sabbat rituals in them. And I don't open every single one every holiday, but I'll pick out 3 or 4 and look through them and start to begin to pick out. And it's funny to me. I always think, you know what? I will have, at the very beginning when I started this, I thought I'm going to create a ritual that I will do every year for Samhain. And so when I started out, I thought, okay, well, do what comes natural to you. But I'm going to do one that I create. And once I create it and pick out the kind of things that I want it to be, it'll be the same ritual every year. That's not what resonates with me. Every Samhain is different for me. Every Samhain's energy is different from year to year. There's something a little bit different focus usually, or there's something that happened in my life the previous year that makes me appreciate a piece of that ritual or a piece of that Sabbat different this year than it did last year. So I will start out with 4 or 5, try to find, sometimes I go through 4 or 5 and I haven't found one thing that resonates with me yet. So, okay, now I'll pull another 4 or 5. And I just take pieces of it that resonate with me and I start talking about, or I start writing my ritual based on what pieces resonate with me. Will you post a document like the previous class? Yes. Something similar to your notes? Yes, absolutely. But I keep getting into the convo. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll post it. I just didn't have time, like I said, to write it up, but I will write it up with the homework. When I finish the homework this weekend, I'll write it up. It's overwhelming because Wicca has this stuff all laid out and Kemetic. Yep, you have to do your own research, like dry archaeological research. I bet you that's extremely overwhelming, Serrana. That's why we tend to watch back repeatedly, right? Wait, what did I miss, Jen? I'll try sharing a couple bits of local group of Morris dancers. Yes! Oh, yes, absolutely. I try to find new ones every year. That I think I posted one last year, but I can't remember now because it's been a while. sort of want to get involved with the border Morris style, Morris dancing. I would love to. Not the usual dweeby style. What's the matter with dweeby? You did? Pat, thank the goddess for your memory. Awesome. Thank you, Thomas. My memory is horrible. Okay. So do you know what has relevance to you? Another news, encountered a possible local banshee on the way home. Oh, that is super interesting. I want to hear about that. Not tonight, but I want to hear about it. If you just are repeating words from a book, if you just are picking out a ritual that someone else wrote and doing it word for word, all of that, even if I find one that I'm like, oh, this is really good, I like most of this ritual, it's never exactly the same as what they wrote because I have to tweak it for me, you know? Because if you do that, it just leads to the creation of dogma, right? Which is what? That's what we all left. That is I always think of, if you're Catholic, you will totally get what I mean. And if you're not, hopefully you've seen enough on TV of I heard that word. It's time to stand again. Stand. Yep. And also with you. And kneel and sit and kneel and stand and kneel, sit. And now we shake each other's hands. Yep. Mm-hmm. And now and it didn't mean anything. After a while, you're like, you could totally tune out, not hear, not a word whatsoever. Catholics get the best workout. I know. And the creaking of the pews. Yep. And if you have knee rests, you have to fold down the knee rest every time. So it's time to kneel. Plink, and everybody pulls down their knee rest, and you kneel. And then you put up the knee rest, and then you stand, and then you sit, and then it's ridiculous. Same crap repeated every year. Exactly. And you cannot pay attention. And to me, my religion is a living, breathing thing that I connect to, and I connect to you with it, and I connect to you with it, and I connect to everything with it. Why in the world would I want to do something that means nothing? I don't want to. Just to remember, he who first in church gets a pew to themselves. That's very true. Actually, I wish that was true, but you really just sat there and pretended not to smell it, which is horrible.
I just saw Galen, I used to tell my grandma I've always wanted the separated popcorn ones. Want some?
Oh boy,
My grandma sends me every year.
If I get a throw up one, I'll be mad.
No, they're just regular Jelly Bellies.
Yeah, but some of them are like popcorn. I hate that one. It's so gross.
Both love the popcorn.
I hate the popcorn one. But I always do the brown ones first because if it's popcorn, I want to get it over with.
Popcorn is white with yellow spots.
That might be one. We'll see.
Or there's caramel corn, too.
Thank you. The creaking of the pews, yes. Mm-hmm. Makes me wonder if it was... Oh. This really makes my salivary glands start, so hopefully I won't be spitting all over you. Like, they made the traditions to see just how much they could make people do, right? Save me the popcorn ones. Ugh, I hate the popcorn ones. When I hear, may the force be with you, I always want to say, and also with you. I do the same thing, Steph. And also with you. I do the exact same thing. Okay. Catholics piss me off. Me too. Many people connect and feel close to deity in Christian churches. And that is awesome. And if you are in a Christian church that you just want to foster that nature-based connection and keep the Christian deities, awesome. There is nothing, and I don't mean to say that there is nothing wrong. Wait, I don't mean to say that there's anything wrong with that at all. There is many things that that I still connect with in that way. It's just the, and I have to catch myself. So thank you for saying that, because I have to catch myself. And sometimes we as pagans are guilty of lumping them all together. All Christian based faiths, and they're not all the same. And not all people are the same when they practice. I have absolutely incredibly amazing friends that are very Christian, but they accept that my path is different. And I should come up with a different term than Christian for the people that I'm talking about when I'm talking about, the dogma and the sit, stand, kneel and that kind of thing. That's a different thing. To me, that's not a Christian. And I wish there was like a little C and a big C Christian, because it's an extremely, they're two different things completely. Sheeples, evangelists. Yeah. Evangelists. Many of them are evangelical Christians. That's true. So I apologize. I thank you for saying that, because I need to catch myself and make sure that I'm not leaving people out. Or extremists. Exactly. And that's what it is extremists. Okay. Where am I? Hi, Ravenheart. I missed you coming in. I'm sorry. Yes, it is not enough to stand in a circle on a specific day and invoke forces of nature. Those forces are currents which flow continuously through our lives, not just 8 times a year. And that's the point. They're always flowing through our lives, not just 8 times a year. So we are not just invoking these energies at that time of year. We're just calling upon them at that time. You are at your house doing the class. Yes. I was asked where I was. Really? Yes. I'm here. All right. By following a nature-based religion, you are affirming your belief in the sanctity of the earth, the sacredness of all of the earth. The sacredness of all of the earth. We're acknowledging that sacredness. And we acknowledge that we depend on the earth for our very life. So Danny told you where you were. She also, those strict fundamental ones make me want to barf. I know it is difficult. And I have many a time told the story, I believe, about the churches that I grew up in, and actually a lot of the churches that I grew up in were okay. And it fostered my spiritual connection, which then grew to seeking out that connection that I felt once in a great while at church, and figure out why I didn't feel that all the time. What was I missing in everyday church that I wasn't getting there? And so that really fostered that curiosity and that need to find out why I wasn't feeling that spiritual connection in everyday life and how I could do that. And that led me a lot to the path that I'm on now. So I owe a lot to that church. Although modern lifestyles do not encourage awareness of our personal relationship with the turning seasons or the patterns of life, growth, death, and decay, that doesn't mean that they don't exist. The ebb and flow of the Earth's energies may be hidden beneath a physical shell of tarmac and concrete, and a psychic one of human indifference, but they are nevertheless there for those who wish to acknowledge them once more. Right? Two witches can also be said about Christians as well. Yes, absolutely. For sure. Absolutely, Steph. And my dad was raised Catholic. Yep. I explored religion for many years. Me too. I explored all kinds of different religions, and churches, and I've said many times, one of my my youngest son is named after my favorite priest in the world, who is still my favorite priest in the world. He's one of my favorite people in the world. I haven't seen him in a long time, and I, really need to this summer maybe change that and go out and see him again. His name is Father Paul. And my youngest son's middle name is Paul. And he is just one of those people that has a spiritual connection to what is, when you see him, he lights up. And if you're like, Father Paul, how are you? He goes, I'm much better now. Thank you. How are you? His hugs are the best, most comforting, wonderful hugs on the planet. He is a spiritual person, and he's a Catholic. So, I'm not saying that all Catholics are like that. I'm not saying that all Catholics are dogmatic only. I'm not saying that Christians are all like that. Like I said, I wish I could come up. I need a word that I can use in my head that, people will say that, or will realize what it is that I mean, because I don't mean all of that. So how do we do that? How do we acknowledge that? We do that by observing the changes of the season, feeling the changes reflected in our innermost selves and in our everyday lives. Our everyday lives. So the wheel has two great inspirations. So this is where, what time is it? Ooh, an hour and 16 minutes. Oh boy. This could be a really long one, you guys. How are you doing? Are you with me? Are you hanging in there? This is kind of a long study, huh? I feel like maybe I need to, you're doing okay? I don't need to break this up into two different studies. Boy, I hope we can get done in time for Ostara. Maybe we'll have to push the initiation back to Beltane, though, because I don't know if we're going to get it all in. Okay. The wheel has two great inspirations. It is both a wheel of celebration, which is basically what we've been talking about, wheel of celebration, and it is a wheel of initiation. Did you know that? Wheel of initiation. As a wheel of initiation, it helps to guide those of us who tread its pathway towards an understanding of the mysteries of life and the universe expressed through the teachings of the old ones, made manifest in the turning of the seasons. It's a big mouthful too, right? Sometimes I write, my brain does really well when I'm really super focused. Year and a day in a witch, right? And that's where the year and a day came from, is because they wanted you to feel all those energies. So what we're doing essentially is taking that whole path that some people do as a year and a day, and we're smushing it into a month, month and a half, or maybe 2 months. I don't know, guys. We'll see as this goes. So what it is it's a way to follow that path around. I speak better when I write. Yes, absolutely. And feel like you have explored the energies that are within this path. And I say we go until we're done. Why rush it? Yeah, absolutely. And then we just do the initiation on the following Sabbat, whatever that may be. We follow that energy through the wheel, and we come to the end of it, and the end of it essentially is Yule. And Yule is where we are then reborn into our new path, into the dedication of, this is what I want to follow. This is how I feel spiritually. I can connect to what I believe is a spiritual connection. And this is my promise that I'm going to dedicate. In that case, let's shoot for Samhain. I'm going to dedicate myself to this path. And then the dedication then becomes Yule. Okay. For us, the gods and nature are one. So again, when I explained that the god and goddess thing, that is just how I am describing that the energies that we are calling on. Yes. Something else related to Morris dancing that was filmed in the 70s. It's a bit real life Wicker Man. Cool. Thank you, Thomas. You rock, mister. As a wheel of celebration, we accord to the words of the charge of the goddess, where she says, "Let my worship be with the heart that rejoice. For behold, all acts of love and pleasure are my rituals. And that ye shall dance, sing, feast, make music, and love all in my praise." That's in the charge of the goddess. Whoops, that's the wrong one. That's the other one that I wrote my notes on. Okay, so anyone can celebrate the turning of the seasons in their own way and in their own time. Covens will commonly gather together and make the festivals times of joyful merrymaking, but you can just as easily make the celebration a solitary one or with just one or two friends, however you want to connect. The principles do not alter, just the way in which you acknowledge them. We generally celebrate 8 festivals, roughly 6 weeks apart, which are pivotal points in the solar cycle. 4 of the festivals are called the lesser Sabbats. We talked about this briefly. They are the spring and autumn equinoxes and the winter and summer solstices. The other 4 are called the greater Sabbats and relate to particular seasons when those who started the path of the old ones, certain activities would have been undertaken, usually followed by a party of some kind. There are variations upon the names. So there's certain, like Imbolc is also called Candlemas. Lunasa, can't find it right now. Lunasa is also called Lammas. It's important to understand that the festivals are celebrating a time of year, a season, not a date. So in Kipling talked about the festival of Beltane. This I thought was really interesting. Hold on. Why are there different deities for each Sabbat? Oh, that's a good question. Shauna, there's different deities because different energies are wanting to be called up. Now, there's a bunch of different deities for each Sabbath. I usually focus on one a year or so for, one for that Sabbath. I will kind of talk about a couple different ones sometimes. And usually it depends on the tradition. But you're talking like Brigitte, which is the one we just celebrated, was the fire tender and kept the fire going, and she was the smith worker, and she was a lot of the things that we're calling on that energy through Imbolc to kind of start warming the earth and that kind of thing. So that's why the Celts celebrated Brigitte at that time, and it had to do with that kind of energy. That's the kind of energy that they wanted to call up. Just like Hecate is a big one at Samhain because of her connection to the underworld. Like my squirrel brain, and I really have to blow my nose again. Damn it, man. She was also the water energy to feed the crops. Exactly. Yes. Jen, so was it Gardner who put the wheel together? No, it was not. It was not Gardner. I actually wrote that down because I forgot who it was, and I found it again. Okay, so the idea of the eightfold wheel of the year was created by Ross Nichols in the 1950s. 1950s, he created the wheel of the year. Now, the one that this one that we celebrate now, he created that in the 1950s. That doesn't mean that that's where all the holidays came from. It was in the 1950s. But he put it all together in this wheel. They are very old. The festivals themselves are very old. And I wrote that down. I should have wrote down more about him because now I can't remember who the hell he is. But his name is Ross Nichols, so you should be able to look that up, hopefully. Persephone in spring, yes. Rudyard Kipling, yes. Kipling, that Kipling. Okay, so one of the things that I thought was super interesting is that Rudyard Kipling wrote about the Beltane Festival. Oh, do not tell the priests of our art, for they would call it sin. But we've been out in the woods all night, a conjuring summer in. So that's in one of his poems. And so what is that telling you? That is, and there's stuff like that throughout a whole bunch of, like, one of my favorites is W.B. Yeats, but throughout a whole bunch of literature, there is hints of people still practicing pagan practices, or at least celebrating the pagan celebrations. And that is much more common in Europe still than it is here, because here yep, I'm having a complete brain fart. The super religious pilgrims, which came over to escape that for the most part. And my brain is skipping, guys. I'm having a stroke. Puritans. Yes, Puritans. And so there is it's much less common to find the old ways celebrated here. Although South America has their own festivals that they have celebrated forever and ever. And North America, we have our Native Americans. They have seasonal celebrations that they have celebrated forever and ever. But we did not bring over a lot of that, because a lot of the people that came over, at least originally, came over specifically to kind of get rid of any of the other religions or paganism or all that kind of stuff. They kind of came over to get rid of that. So there's a lot that we lost in this country that way. Although, like I said, we do have some of it with the Native American culture and people like the Aztecs. And down in Mexico, there Santa Muerta and that kind of celebration that's been going on forever and ever. It's just for those of us who are in the Northeast, sometimes it's hard, other than Native Americans, to find that connection to the seasonal celebrations. Now, hold on. I saw... could you give the definition of deity? Deity. My definition of deity, because there's supposedly more than one God, so who would be in charge? My definition of deity is an energy that we're putting on a name of an energy that is a spiritual energy. So again, this is a hard concept, especially when you're a beginner, to talk about gods and goddesses and that kind of thing. There isn't one over the other. We are all connected, don't forget. So it depends on how you look at deity. If you follow a certain pantheon, then there are certain pantheons that have a hierarchy in their deities. There are Sarana, help me out. Like the Egyptians, I believe, have a hierarchy to some of their deity. There's one, Ra, I believe, is the head male deity. And then there's other gods and goddesses are in charge of other are what my YouTube friends build altars for. So deity is going to be something that you have to define for yourself, and that's part of what the Greeks, Zeus was king. Yep, the head of the, yeah, exactly. So it's something that you're going to have to define for yourself. There is many pantheons, and it's easier for us to personify the energy so that we can relate and remember easier. Exactly. So for me, again, like I said, when I'm looking to a deity, I'm looking to the energy of that, what that goddess personifies, what I feel Hecate does. So I'm calling on the name of Hecate to help me with the energy that I feel she personifies. I know that doesn't really help you, does it? Sonia, if you want, I just don't want to get stuck on the deity. But if you want to break that down further, we can have like a discussion. At some point, I want to have a discussion of pantheons anyways, which is why this could get really long. There's a way to do this where we can really go into a lot of detail. And in which case we can do like an Egyptian night and a Greek night and a Celtic night and a, help me out, Druid night. And, and go through that kind of pantheon and what that means and what kind of gods and goddesses are associated. We can do that. And I'm thinking about it. I've been trying to figure out how to do that and stay within a time limit, but I don't know if this is going to work with a time limit because I don't want to cut you all off. And I want you to learn and explore. Part of that's partly why we have homework too, though, because once you're called to a specific path or pantheon, I want you guys to do some homework on it and to kind of reach out and try to connect to some of these. But I can see where that would be hard if you don't know anything about a pantheon, or if you're like so new that you're like, ah, shit, I don't really know at all anything about this pantheon. So we can kind of go through that if you want. We are going to be past pick 2 pantheons a week, have a panel. Yes, I was just going to say, one of the things we're talking about in the admin group is, yes, the class is free, is that I'm going to ask admins and some of the people that I know are good with certain pantheons and stuff, if they're comfortable, to come on with me and talk about what they're comfortable with. Because I know, I dabble in a lot of things, but I am expert at a few. You know what I mean? So like I dabble a lot in Egyptian, but I'm not an expert by any means. So there's other people who would be better at that. And of course, we know like Pat is, and Leolyn too. Pat and Leolyn are both really good with the Norse pantheon. And so there's other people that I would bring on with that too. Came over for freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. Freedom from specific religion, honey. I'm not saying free. Are you okay today, Sherry Bug? Am I pissing you off today, honey? You can tell me. It's okay. I don't take it personally. I didn't mean from all religion. I meant from specific religions. So specific, like the Anglican church in England was pissing a lot of people off, and the Puritans wanted to be able to practice their practice, and not specifically the Anglican church, their practice. Sorry, it's jumping around. I want to make sure I got any questions. I don't think we have to rush this. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Crash Course is a great place on YouTube to get a great overview of various pantheons. That's awesome. Thank you for that suggestion. Good, good, good. Okay, where am I? What are we at? An hour 35. Is Peter home yet? 9:37. Can't remember. I haven't heard him come in. Hey, Frank, is your dad home? I don't hear him. Do you stop, chat, and teach and turn on when done? Right? So that's hard too. Maybe. It's something. Let me think about it. All right. I don't know where I am. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm fading fast, so we're probably going to have to stop soon. Although we've got to at least get through some of this. Shoot. All right. I'll try to just power through for a little. Just a subtle difference that's sometimes not thought about, being different than from. Right. And it's funny. It depends on how you say it or how you think it, I think, too. When I think freedom from religion, I think freedom from specific religion. I don't think, freedom from all religion or freedom to get away from. I think of freedom to do what your own is. And so to me, that's a freedom from others' religions. You know what I mean? But I see that. I feel like we just got started. I know, right? All right. Now, let me get on to, do I want to get into young? Probably not tonight. As a wheel of initiation, the wheel of the year is the path which leads us through the experiences of our gods towards that point which Jungian psychologists called individuation. Individuation, where you have found self, where you have found where the self is leading to, where you have found that path and you feel like you're home, right? You feel like you have reached that point in your life where you're home. And so we, nature-based religions called knowledge of the old ones. As with all mystical experiences, these mysteries are not communicated in an academic or intellect manner. They are direct experiences with each individual, and that you share with the old gods, which is partly why there's homework here, because each individual experience that you have through each of these Sabbats will take you to a new level of your experience of your path. Different traditions have developed different ways of traveling the wheel, but they all have a common purpose and all are equally valid, provided the basic principles are sound. So, and that's partly, I think, why I always have a hard time with this part of it, because I think Peter just got home. My path, my chosen path is so wide open on purpose, because I want everyone to feel like they're included, because there is a place for you here if you believe that those basic tenets that we talked about at the very beginning in the introduction, if you believe in those basic tenets, there's a place for you here. I believe that you can find your place in this path of the old ones, in the path that we are talking about tonight. I believe your place is here. I believe in that connection. And I believe that we can find that connection together, whether you believe in many deities or one, whether you believe in the Celtic pantheon or the Egyptian, whether you believe in no deity and science and nature only. I believe that we have that connection anyways, and we can all celebrate that spiritual connection together in one place. And we can learn from our differences, and we can learn from our similarities. For sure. I'll tell you, I'm so grateful that Pat puts up with me sometimes, because you guys know, I always say I try so hard not to be political on here. I really, really, really try. But you all know my opinion. Well, I sometimes forget that there's people on here who support Trump, and that's okay. I feel like even more so, that's okay, because this is where we can connect. Our connections don't have to do with political shit and you know what? In this day and age, we need to search for the connections that we can have and try once in a while to let go of the shit that we argue about and the shit that we don't connect with. Because what's more important, the shit we do connect with or the shit we don't? Right? So I believe that this is an umbrella for all of us for a reason. Okay. Let me quickly go through. I'm not going to go through that part. Damn it. An hour and 41. Shit. I can't believe that my big mouth can go on and on and on this this long, and I haven't gotten to the main part of what I was supposed to get to. Shit. I get so much crap from a few of the people on my Facebook because I like Trump, but I like to give people the benefit, and it's not my place to judge. Exactly. And I always try to say that it's my opinion. And a lot of it, has to do with where we're from and how we grew up and what we learned growing up as a child. And what we see within our lives. I think how, we look at stuff outwardly. And what I've learned also, because my brother is totally politically the opposite of me. Totally, completely politically the opposite. And I love him. And the reason that I can still connect with him is because he has reasons for his opinion. And that is why this is going to sound so bad. Can I do this? Yes, I think I can. What I don't like is when people have an opinion based on nothing. Does that make sense? I have found politically that most of us want the same goal. We differ on how we think the best way to get there is. But if you have that outside opinion, like you like this political party and you don't really know why, if you don't have if you haven't taken the time to have some kind of reasoning behind it, if you're just like, and I'm trying to think of a liberal one so I don't pick on just Republicans, because I promise you we have a lot. Oh my gosh, I wanted to shoot people who were like, I'm voting for Hillary because she's a woman. I hate that. I wanted to kill them. You know what? If you have no clue about politics whatsoever, please just be quiet. That drove me crazy. If you can back up your opinion based on some kind of belief in how you want things to work, you're fine.
What?
Does that make sense? Everyone is allowed to love their opinion, but nobody should be allowed to try to force their opinions on others. Yes, absolutely. Love your liberal use of the word shit. Yes. Just, yes, using your gender for stuff that's not a valid reason. Exactly. At least, if you're going to speak on something, at least know why you believe what you believe. That's all. And as long as you can back up your belief system and you know why you are supporting who you're supporting, it's okay with me. I may differ, and I may think that's crazy. That I don't think that would work at all. But it doesn't mean that I can't find things that I can connect with you on. It just means that I differ greatly on how I feel we should be getting there. That's all. Does that make sense? Okay. It's like anyone who didn't vote for Obama was called racist. Yes, which was ridiculous. That is just insane. That and you know, Pat, you have to see that, you know, we all have our crazy people that we would like to shove under the rug and pretend they don't exist.
Do I need to go get Joey?
No. What time is it? It's not time yet, right?
Curious.
No.
Okay.
Frankie's going for me because it's late,
Okay.
and he's much better in the late. So I'm reminding him to go when it's time.
Okay. Well, just let me know if anything changes.
We're good.
She left her keys here. So.
Oh, yeah, we're good. Yeah, that is absolutely ridiculous. There's no reason for that. We have our liberal idiots that I would like to shove under the rug, and, you know, I'm sure you have your conservative idiots that you would like to shove under the rug. And okay, I always loved Donald Trump, and I got my reasons too, and people always felt I was weird. Now it's okay. All right. So anyways, this is the place where we can connect, is what I'm trying to say. And my phone is on 15% battery, so that's going to force me to come off. What we're going to talk about next time, which may be this weekend. I don't know, you guys. I hate to put this off into Wednesday. Is supposed to be our question and answer session. So I may do... Shit. I judge on your sports teams. Yes! I love it. I may do something this weekend because we need to go through individually all of the Sabbats quickly. I'm not going to go into detail all of the Sabbats, but I want to touch on all of the Sabbats and what they mean. And then the point of all this was, how does that relate to our everyday lives, and where can we see those cycles happening over and over in our everyday lives? Okay. Buffalo Bills, people. Perfect. I'm going to do it at some point this weekend. I'm not going to tell you when, because I may not even do it as a live. Maybe I'll just go through the rest of what I needed to go through as I record a video. Okay. So keep an eye out. At the very least, Wednesday will be, you can also delegate some of this. Yes, I know, Pat. Thank you. Wednesday will be our next question and answer session. You guys, because I was sick, I have a lot left to do. I'm going to try really hard to get our homework, your homework out to you by Sunday. I should be able to do it by Sunday. I'm going to say by Sunday. If for some reason it's not, just bear with me and I'll get it in by Monday, but I think I should be able to on Sunday. Okay. I love you guys so much. I would so appreciate 62 of you on if you would click that like button for me, because again, that gets this video out to more and more people so that we can teach more and more people about our connections. Maybe people should hold their questions until Wednesdays. Yes. So we can get through the material, right? All right. I love you all. Yep. You can also ask questions in email or in the event in Facebook. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. This was super fun. I can't believe we went an hour and 50 minutes and I didn't get to the main crux of the point. I love you guys. We'll see you next time.